Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. That was a good introduction. We brought together some people this morning that are passionate about the print product. In America, as in Latin America, print is still paying the bulk of the bill. So newspapers need to increasingly look at ways that they can keep that a sustainable model, not just by printing their own
Tara,
product.
we have a problem. We need you to hear you louder. Apparently, there's something that we need to maybe to set up.
Okay,
We need
can
to hear
you hear me?
we hear you, but too low. Maybe
Okay,
you can speak louder.
how's that?
That's
Is that
better,
better?
but still.
Okay, let me turn my mic volume up even.
Hold on.
Is that good?
Les quiero dar la bienvenida en nombre de la señora Tara. Nosotros todos tuvimos una gran pasión por el producto impreso y por eso estamos aquí para hacer esta presentación ante ustedes.
Alfonso está viendo si tenemos problemas. Adelante, Tara.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Sí, pero
Yes?
no quiero tocarlo.
Súbele ahí.
Ya le subí. Fue todo.
Can everyone hear me?
A little louder, please.
Okay, how's that?
Sí.
That's good. Go ahead.
No tiene. Espera.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We are just adjusting our volume. Just a minute. Just a
Okay.
second.
Micrófono.
Be patient. We are there.
I've never been accused of being too quiet. That's a fact.
Not plugged in. Yeah.
Go.
Go ahead.
Now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and ratio?
Yes, please go ahead. We're gonna try to catch you. Don't worry. Let's
Okay.
go.
All right. I won't repeat everything I said because I think a lot of you heard me, but we brought together some experts in the print industry, people that are passionate about print. In the U.S., as in Latin America, print is still paying the bulk of the bill, even with all of the talk about digital and mobile. So as the industry continues to face financial challenges, newspapers are increasingly trying to find ways to reduce their production costs, maximize their infrastructures, and increase their revenue streams. So we're going to talk about some of the things that newspapers are doing and some of the products that are shaping those trends. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Ron Earhart. He is Vice President of Sales for Manugraph Americas and DGM. He is responsible for the single width press vendor sales in North and South America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. In the past, Ron has handled sales for George R. Hall Contracting and served as USA National Sales Manager for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He's also held regional sales director positions with Manroland Web Systems and Web Press Corp. So go ahead, Ron, and welcome.
Okay, thank you, Tara. And good afternoon, everyone. I can't see my presentation, though. There we go. Okay, good afternoon. I think the hot topic for today is I don't have the presentation anymore. Okay. I think the hot topic for today is what can newspapers do to increase revenue and sustain their business? And I think the one answer is diversification. Probably the area that makes the most sense is to become a commercial printer of newspapers. One of the reasons it makes the most sense is any newspaper publisher right now that's been printing for a while has probably been very good at it, and it's something that you know. So in order to make this work, you have to search within a reasonable area of your location to see if there's any like-minded printers who wish to outsource their printing. Now, obviously, if you are in a remote area of a country, this might not make sense for you. But if you're in an area where there's a reasonable amount of cities and towns that do have newspaper publications, you can explore opportunities with them, see if they would be interested in outsourcing their printing, and that's something that you could take on. There are some things that you have to be careful of. You don't want to attempt something that you can't do well or won't be profitable for you. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind is, based on your current production, what kind of, what are the capabilities of your press? What can the press do and what can't it do? You also have to look at, what kind of production windows do you have available to take on other print jobs. So you've got to be very careful that you've got the right press, and then you've got the right windows of opportunity to print other products. Another thing you might want to take a look at, but it's most likely something that would be very new to you, is to make an investment in heat set or UV so you could go after semi-commercial work. Again, you've got to be careful there because semi-commercial and commercial industry is a very mature industry. There may be already enough commercial printers in your area where it would not be advantageous for you to go after that kind of work. So the key is be smart in what you're planning on doing, and invest smartly in what you want to do. One good example of becoming a commercial printer of newspapers is what the Paxton Media Group in North Carolina did last year. They were producing 7 newspapers and a number of other weekly and monthly publications on a 560 millimeter Gauss Metro press. That Metro press was at a very big site, a very big building on a lot of land. And what they were exploring was, should they move away from that big press and sell the real estate that they had, to house the press and the newspaper operations, and invest in a single width machine. Most of their newspapers range from as low as 5,000 circulation up to about 30,000 circulation. So within those circulation numbers, it didn't necessarily mean that they had to have such a large double width press. They could move into a new single width press. The issues with the double width press were long make readies, very little 4-color placement flexibility, and because you're running such small runs, 5, 8, 10,000 copies, you're going to run a lot of waste on those products. So their solution was to purchase a single width press with a shorter cutoff, a 533 millimeter cutoff, with enough speed and folding capacity to meet their circulation needs and their pagination and color needs. So they purchased from us an M360 single width press of 4 4-color towers and 4 mono units. So they could run up to 8 webs of 2-section single width. Now, why single width? The real advantage in single width is you can place 4-color where you want it. The vertical web lead produces 4-color, also in a very small floor space footprint. You can put everything on one production floor level. The rolls that would feed the towers could be in line with the press or at right angle. You don't have to have a basement level. You don't have to have a press deck level. So it's a very economical and low cost way to put a press into a building. Single width presses now have speeds ranging from 35,000 to 60,000 copies per hour. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a lot of the early single width presses were 15, 20, 25,000 copies per hour, but now those speeds have pretty much doubled. So single width presses can produce products at a very high speed. There's also, with automation that's entered the industry, you have things like remote inking, color register, and cutoff control that can be all controlled from a console or from some automatic systems. So this keeps quality high and waste low, which is important if you want to be profitable. It's a little too fast on that. And then folders. The broadsheet and tabloid folding capacity of single width folders is now, we make folders that can fold 6, 8, 10, 12, even up to 16 webs. You can put 1 to 4 formers on the folder for section flexibility. Also, unlike some of the older double width presses where you've just got half fold, single width presses can have quarter fold capability and double parallel fold capability. You could add a perforation package at the RTF, at the NIPS, and have 1 or 3 across perfs to be able to perforate commercial or book signature folding. So that gives you a lot of flexibility and diversity. Earlier I said you need to make smart investments, and really if you're looking at a single width press, you've got 2 options in today's market. You could purchase a used press. There's a lot of used equipment out there. There's been a lot of closings of production facilities, so there is a lot of used equipment out there. Typically it's at a lower cost than new equipment. But you have to be careful and consider what the mechanical and electrical condition is of the used equipment. You could spend a considerable sum of money bringing that equipment up to a mechanical and electrical spec so you can print good quality, and have low waste on those presses. You also have to take a careful look at some of the automated systems on the press. Are they obsolete? Are they unsupported? There's a lot of proprietary systems out there where no one but the original manufacturer knows how to make it work, and are they supporting those systems today? Of course, things like long-term parts and service and software support are important. Are there companies out there that can take care of you when you need it, when there's an emergency? And some of the used equipment, in fact, most of the used equipment have the longer 578 millimeter cutoff. That was the most popular cutoff for decades. Do you want to continue to run a longer cutoff and in turn have the higher paper costs associated with that? Of course, you could purchase new equipment. The drawback is it costs more than used equipment, but some of the benefits are it is under warranty, and the internal systems of the equipment are modern. It has automated, updated systems internal to the equipment. Long-term parts and service support is there, and you have the opportunity to purchase either 533 or 546 millimeter cutoffs, so you can enjoy paper savings year after year. Another thing you might want to do if you're not looking for a new press is to upgrade your existing press. I think it'd be best to just let me control the presentation because it's going all over the place. Okay, upgrade your existing press. Most existing presses, if they need something, they need more 4-color. So you can install 4-color towers to increase color. You might want to look at your drives to see if they are old and unsupported. And certainly digital drive replacements are a real smart upgrade option, because if you lose a drive on a press, in many cases you've lost the press. So that's not going to be good for you, especially if you're printing multiple products every day. You're going to have some angry customers if your drives aren't functioning well. You can replace manual adjustments with automation, like remote inking, console or camera-based register control. This is going to give you faster make-readies. It's going to give you less waste so you can be more profitable. A lot of newspapers and newspaper groups also have equipment that they're not using. A lot of that equipment are mono units, which just don't make much sense anymore. Printing black. Most people want to have more four color. You can convert those mono units into four color towers. You can also replace manual roll stands with very average to poor tensioning systems with zero-speed splicers and auto pasters. And this is important if you're printing a lot of products in a production run. You don't want to have to stop the press in the middle of a job just to change rolls. So you can continue to print the job until it's finished. And the other thing that you don't want to ignore is your existing press. You want to make sure you have a good maintenance plan for that press so it can run efficiently and run to its specification. So in doing so, you might want to consider some refurbishment of the cylinders, the gears, perhaps even reboring the framing. And you know, after 5, 10, 15 years of operation, you might want to look at to see if the press is aligned properly. So you might want to look at realigning the press. Now, what can my company, Manugraph DGM, do for you? Well, one of the things we offer, because we have plants in the United States and in India, is we offer a global manufacturing alternative. DGM factory in Pennsylvania and USA manufactures 6 different unit models and 5 folder models, all single width. And most DGM presses are 100% compatible to Gauss Community or Urbanite presses. There's thousands of Urbanites and communities out there. There's over 3,000 DGM units out there. So DGM can assist many different customers because of the amount of compatible equipment that's currently in operation. Manugraph India manufactures 5 unit models and 7 folder models, all single width. And again, as mentioned earlier, the low-cost M360, which we sold to North Carolina, can be integrated to Gauss Community presses or DGM presses. So it's a very low-cost, new equipment alternative to increasing 4-color on those types of presses. Existing or used equipment, whether it's DGM or Gauss, Manugraph DGM can rebuild it, and we offer 100% spare parts support for those products. And we can replace obsolete press drives with new digital drives. A couple of years ago, we went into the digital drive business. This is a picture of our drives. We found that a lot of auxiliary companies were currently moving away from our industry. There's a lot of drive equipment out there that's not supported. So we designed 2 years ago a drive that we use off-the-shelf components, non-proprietary. It can be added to any press in the industry, and it comes with 24/7 fully diagnostic customer support. In the last 2 years since we introduced this product, we've sold over 90 press drives. So it's been a very good and profitable business for us, and I think it meets an industry need. And again, as mentioned earlier, our company does have factories in the United States and in India, so you can put the power of global manufacturing to work with you by working with Manugraph Americas. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ron. There will be questions at the end, so it would be interesting to get a little bit of input from some of the Latin American participants about the saturation of single-wide presses in Latin and South America. Next up, we're going to hear from Bruce Richardson. Bruce started his graphic arts career as a sheet-fed pressman for a Connecticut, USA printer. He joined Reeves Brothers and then W.R. Grace as a regional and national sales manager for the printing products groups there. In 1987, he joined Mater Printing Press Company, where he helped the company develop Flexo newspaper press equipment. And in 1990, Mater was purchased by Koenig & Bauer AG, also known as KBA, here in the United States. And after a 2-year assignment with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Bruce rejoined KBA as National Account Sales Manager in 1992. So take it away, Bruce.
Okay, Tara, thank you very much. There it is. Thank you very much to the IAPA and to Newspaper Technology for inviting me to speak about the future of printing. Hot topic. It's been a hot topic for the last 10 years. I think everyone is in the newspaper business is looking for the long-term and also to support print publishing in general, as well as in newspapers. And KBA, as the oldest press manufacturer in the world to date, is a strong supporter of printing. And we only build printing presses, so that's our livelihood. Do I have control of the slides? There. KBA's press range goes all the way from triple wide presses, 6x2, all the way to 2x1 presses, the Continent series, which is in the single width category, 4-page per tower web position. We cover the gamut in terms of the offset printing world, and we also have a complete set of commercial heat set web presses that also come out of KBA, and we can cover pretty much any situation that a newspaper might be looking to invest in, and cover any number of circulations and publication counts. This is just a kind of an overview of, I thought I had taken the slide out, but it's kind of an overview of the Commander CT installations that we've had over the last couple of years. KBA continues to sell these. They're our highest per hour press, copy per press category, and they come in 6x2, 4x2 versions. And as you can see in some of these, several installations have added heat set, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So what can you do? What do newspaper printers need to be looking at to stay viable and grow, hopefully, and thrive in the future? You need to be adding, to your revenue stream all the time, and making up for any possible drops in circulation, subscription accounts, single copy, whatever your market is demanding. Newspaper publications are struggling to maintain, in many markets, readership and their advertising and subscription revenues. The other side of the coin, and everybody is looking at cutting costs of production with new technology, and some of the things that KBA is doing and other press manufacturers are doing can help in this direction. So these are the two, single points that we wanted to make at KBA, and some suggestions for both existing press users, other vendors, new press situations. We can talk about what we can do to enhance and bring in more revenue to your operation, and also to cut costs. This installation happens to be in Transcontinental. There's 4 presses like this up in Transcontinental in Canada. They print the Globe and Mail, and they do 1 to 2 sections heat set every day for the Globe and Mail across Canada. The rest of the time, the only way that they really could justify this press purchase and investment is to go ahead and print retail print inserts as well. And they print several national newspaper insert, cold set and heat set, and that's providing a major share of the revenue to justify, a press purchase like this. So as Ron mentioned before, adding heat set to your existing press, or UV to your existing press, or to a new press purchase can really enhance value if you have the market and if you have the work. As Ron said, you have to be careful about your market. The Commander CT, I have this slide in here to show one of the things that enhances a new press operation is automatic plate changing. It provides faster make-readies to any press operation. The manning level can be reduced, and the actual up production time increased so that you can actually bring in more revenue and print more products within a given set of hours. The Commander CL is KVA's 80,000 per hour press model. We came out with this 3 years ago. It's designed also to have automatic plate changing because we feel automatic plate changing is a key element in today's fast production environment and fast changeovers to be more efficient and reduce costs. This is our installation in Albany, and it's Albany, New York. It's at the Times-Union, which is a Hearst newspaper. I throw this in here because it's kind of a real success story for us. The Hearst Corporation, this newspaper was letterpress for 40 years, and they just changed over to a new offset machine in 2013. And the actual press is only 30 feet high. It was able to go into an existing building room in Albany, and we redid the foundation. The cost of investment was kept down because of the use of an existing building or a warehouse, and this can be done in any market with a warehouse building situation to reduce cost. And the total ROI is projected to be under 4 years for this brand new press. They've taken in 4 other daily print titles and have been very successful in the commercial tabloid market as well. Again, the Commander CL can be fitted with automatic plate changing. These are the plate changing situation. I don't know if you can see my marker here, but these are the plate change stations here. And the press also has 3 form rollers for high quality printing. If you want to get into semi-commercial and commercial printing, as Ron said, you have to be careful. We do recommend 3 form rollers in the press as standard. KVA also has come up with a roller setting system for your ink rollers in the ink train for every couple. And this system uses pneumatic adjustment to align the nipping roll, the ink rollers and the nipping points of the rollers to match a certain stripe pressure that will provide consistent quality throughout your run from day to day, and is settable every day, so that you don't have to spend 8 to 10 hours setting rollers in your press, and you save all that uptime in production. As well as the other benefit is that we're seeing anywhere from half to a third to a half longer roller life, cutting your roller recovering costs. Again, enhancing revenue and saving costs. This press in Canada was put in last year. It is an example of a press that has multiple ribbon variable web width capability. It will have UV capability, and it can print up to 6 to 12 different ribbon sizes for digest and newspaper and tabloids. Again, these are various options you can add to new presses. In some cases, some of this can be added to existing presses. You talk to your particular vendor about that, but it's much easier to do in a new press environment. Metroland installed the press a few years ago. This is a 4x2 press. It was designed to be a single wide press. You can print tabloids and variable width length tabloids on this press, and double out in folders. So it's a very high volume machine. Torstar has a large regional tabloid edition population, and this press does the entire set of their newspapers now. Another example of flexibility to gain efficiencies in the marketplace is taking a standard Comet press, which is our 2x2 machine, and enhancing it with a 3x2 arrangement where you're getting 6 pages straight or 12 pages collect. We have 2 of these machines operating with BH Media, and they are running pretty much 24/7 now because they do the local newspapers as well as the regional tabloids in each of their areas. There's been a lot of discussion about digital, and KBA has come out with a digital inkjet engine that we can apply to a variety of markets. We've looked at industrial, packaging, and several other markets, and newspapers, if you have the right model, can adopt a digital platform for multiple short-run publications. You can see the variety here, the product base that we're targeting, and newspapers is definitely in our category. Again, the model has to be, very, very specific and justified. The beauty of digital is you can produce 5,000 to 6,000 copies, 7,000 copies of a tabloid or a broadsheet in a very cost-efficient way, because there are no, there are no, I don't know what's happening here. Am I being rushed? Let me handle this. Thanks. There we go. Sorry. The other areas that we're looking at with the press are in other commercial areas, and quite honestly, when the press is up and running, not only newspapers but tabloids, magazines, brochures, digests, coded stock work can all be printed on this machine. So it's something to look at down the road as far as future investment. We did a test in Würzburg at the Main Post with our offset newspaper press there, as well as the Rotajet digital inkjet press. And basically the model was to wrap the main sheet in a specially prepared 4-page wrap that was customized and individualized for every subscriber. This project turned out to be so successful that they're going to repeat it. The advertising rates the response rate was nearly 80%. Other things you can do to your press, just to your existing press, you can, with us or with another vendor, is add advertising formats and opportunities for your customer base. We have developed a kit that can be added to anybody's press to go ahead and make what we call a multi-view or 5-panel advertising section that opens up and reads like a book. We've done this, over in Europe quite a bit, and there's considerable interest in domestic United States on this. But basically, you have to, again, have the advertising base to justify it. Be cautious in your investments, but if you know that you have 4 or 5 customers, that would do this periodically, the justification, the ROI is very, very short. Again, some other examples of that. This is showing the one section that was completely done, and it was very eye-catching, and again has gained a lot of popularity. Zip and buy is a technique. Again, other manufacturers can do this as well as KBA. You add perforation slitters to your press with pull-off and gatefold and spadia leads, and you can sell that as advertising, extra revenue again for your operation, and it's quite popular again with advertisers once you have that capability. And again, fairly low-cost investment to do that. Another technique that's being used is adding Kodak or other inkjet heads to existing offset presses, where you can actually print, up to 4x4 inch coupons, lottery tickets, numbers in sequence And these programs have been used quite successfully over in Europe. Axel Springer added these Kodak heads to both their man-roll-in and KBA machines, and it's been quite successful for them. It's, again, another revenue opportunity. Again, these possibilities are possible out of a newspaper press or semi-commercial press. Adding UV or heat set, can enhance the value of the machine for your operation, and again, bring in added revenues. Sports is very important, and I can tell a quick story on this. If you, on an outsourced situation, the newspaper, I won't mention the name, gave up printing their own paper, and they're sending it an hour and a half away to another printer to be printed, and the sports scores do not make it in their home delivered edition in the morning. Their circulation has dropped 50%. Sports scores are very important, and I know you want to get the football and soccer World Cup scores in there, and digital heads or digital press can help you do that. Finally, another added option for double wide presses is to have variable tabloid insertion capability. This can be added to anybody's press. Other press vendors can do this as well. There's a stitcher down here below that you can actually stitch a tabloid and then insert it back in the main product as a separate advertising piece or separate section. All these things take minimal investments. You have to be careful about them, but they can add and bring in extra revenue. So finally, Ron earlier mentioned some of these. Upgrade your drives and controls. Add color and cutoff registration controls. We know two examples. We have 2 KVA presses in the United States, one with color register and cutoff register control. The other identical press in another facility has none of that. The startup waste counts are 350 for the paper with the cutoff, color and cutoff density control, and 1,200 copies start on the press without it. There are long web leads and tower presses, and color and density cutoff and density controls to really make a difference in bringing your start copies waste down. Web width reductions can save paper, as many of you know. There is 3 pages around conversions that are possible. KBA has a 3-around folder if anybody wished to do that. There are other vendors providing that service. Ink optimization software is very, very low investment and very, very good on return. Many people have enjoyed tremendous ink cost savings in their operation with that. And again, adding UV or heat set capability can, again, enhance your press operation and make you successful and thrive in a tough market. Thank you, everybody. I will mention that Fernando Ramos could not be here for this presentation today, but he is our sales director for the South American market, and his information is there for you to use. Feel free to call me if you have questions, or call Fernando if you need any information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm reading some of the comments that are coming in. I know that there are some struggles with technical terms, so we'll make sure that you have these gentlemen's contact information at the end of the webinar, and perhaps we can get you access to their presentations as well. Okay, next up, I'm going to introduce Doug Gibson. Doug is the owner and president of Newspaper Solutions, LLC. He's been in the industry for more than 20 years with production operations experience with Cox Newspapers, and he served as vice president of newspaper sales for both Goss International on their North American division and Heidelberg Web Systems. Doug spent time at Harris Graphics in the service management division, where he was responsible for worldwide installation of post-press equipment, and he also served as regional Midwest sales representative and vice president of North and South American sales for Sheridan Systems and Heidelberg Finishing. Doug is also a board member of the International Newspaper Group and the Metro Production Conference, which is a meeting of various press manufacturers, users. They meet once a year to troubleshoot, share trends and ideas, and so Doug gets a kind of broad perspective on what some of the issues are facing the industry, and I know that many are similar to what's happening in Latin America. So Doug will finish up for us with some trends and things like that, and then we will open it up to questions. Go ahead, Doug. Thank you.
Okay, Tara, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to IAPA. And are you going to pull up my presentation, or we're just going to talk trends?
Presentation should be coming up, Doug.
Okay, no problem. Talk, Bruce showed it on his presentation, the Transcontinental project in Canada, where they print the Globe and Mail, and now they have all their sections front and back in heat set / UV glossy sheets, and it's been received very well. And now they've incorporated a Saturday product to be entirely heat set, and the revenues have jumped substantially. So more and more people are trying to get into the newspaper, but they want to be able to offer up a glossy product that can attract former magazine advertisers into the newspaper. And Globe and Mail, if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you take a look at it because it's quite inviting. Go ahead to the next one, please. Do I have control of this here? Okay, there it is. Okay. Basically, right now you have the ability to do the traditional gas-fired heat set that Bruce showed you in Toronto and most commercial printers use. You have the UV solution, and I represent a gentleman that could neither afford either, and he didn't have the space nor the money, and he was losing business, so he decided to start working on infrared about 8 years ago in his own printing plant and perfected it. And for the last 3.5 years, he's been running various publications with either heat set / infrared glossy products on the covers or thoroughly heat set throughout infrared. And all the ethnic papers they print, all the circulation has gone up, the advertising has gone up, nothing but positive results so far with this product. So you can get the next one, Tara. Basically, we can jump back to the 80s when Al Newharth broke out in USA Today and actually put color in newspapers. That's hard to believe that we didn't have color in newspapers except spot color way back when, but that's the way it was. And now that served its purpose. Now everyone has color, and people are asking for more color, just like all the graphics you have on your telephones and your iPads and whatnot. People want more and more grabbing graphics, so therefore the glossy is taking the place of just traditional color. I think Ron mentioned nobody buys the mono anymore, not on purpose, and we just put 4/4 everywhere to attract the advertisers. Go ahead to the next one, please. I touched on the Globe and Mail earlier, but this has been going on since 2010 when the presses were installed in the Globe and Mail for some KBA presses, I believe some DGM presses running UV, and it's been received well. The futures are print, as it says down here at the bottom. They want to attract, the advertisers want to attract everyone to at least look at the newspaper, look at the ad, and you have to sometimes be a little catchier than traditional newsprint stock. So yes, we went to high bright stock, and that was received well. We've gone to some semi-gloss, and that was received fairly well. But now people are expecting more and more gloss looks in their paper, like the Globe and Mail. Like I said, their style section every Saturday, which is their big paper, they run completely heat set. All pages are glossy, and revenues are jumping because of basically they're attracting magazine customers. They're attracting the high-end customers that want to advertise their product, like Ralph Lauren and all those higher-end types, the jewelry stores and whatnot. And as a strategy now, they can even plan to run it on a daily basis if they so desire, or a weekly basis. They don't have to print up ads and send them out to printers and wait months for them to come to fruition. Next, please. So today's issues is the same as Ron and Bruce have alluded to. We need to increase revenues with the lowest possible costs, engage our readers with print and online, expand the current advertising base to attract all the advertisers, not just the ones that traditionally have been in newspapers. As we said before, color markets, color, higher densities, niche publications, and the magazine type format with glossy products. The people we're quoting with this infrared solution, most of them have outsourced their heat set UV products to a third party, and they're trying to bring them back in-house to be able to provide more timely printing of it, reduce the deadlines when they have to have the copy in, etc. So this glossy heat set is picked up. I've been representing this gentleman for the last 9 months, and we have, which I thought was going to be a single width primarily user, but we are evenly split between double width proposals and single width proposals, and we have over 50 proposals in the marketplace. We just installed 4 units into a commercial printer in Utah, replacing UV units with this infrared, and the owner claims that just the ink savings alone to him are north of $700,000 a year. So it pretty much paid for this removal of the UV and replacing with the infrared. We trust we'll have a contract in place fourth quarter this year to go on to a traditional double wide press. And so then you'll see larger papers being able to offer, say, Macy's glossy ads in the paper daily, and therefore Macy's doesn't have to go out, send out the commercial printers, have it printed, sent back in, and you have another 2-month lead time. They can actually bring their copy in the day before and have it printed into the metro paper in their particular area. We've run ads for Macy's and all the high-end folks to show them what infrared can do for them as far as the glossy product, and they're quite impressed. We had a major jewelry store in New York step up, and they would love to be able to do this on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So next one, please. Why is it infrared? It is a heat set printing process, and we can print on coated stock or high bright or even 27/7 newsprint, and you can print it on edition each and every day. It can be inside pages, outside pages, could be the Spadia, whatever you want. Much like the Globe and Mail, most of the people we're talking to want to put it on the front and back pages of each section, and some with their press configurations they can run it inside, like Macy's would like to see run. So it gives them the flexibility, and the advertisers that we've spoke with like the idea of calling up the newspaper, send their copy in, have it printed that night, and have a nice glossy advertisement in the next morning's paper with virtually 0 lead time on copy. The grocery stores we've spoken to, they really like it. So the newspapers are setting up and taking notice, and they're understanding that they need to do something even more than just 4/4 color. The other topic that comes up in UV is you have to have dedicated towers as a rule, unless you want to spend a lot of time preparing the UV to get it ready to run. Whereas this is just a simple infrared oven over top of 404. You can turn on or turn off. Separate press controls. It's not tied to your press controls. Everything's totally separate, so it doesn't go in and encroach upon your existing controls. And basically, if you want to run one run that day of cold set, you just turn off the infrared. If you want to run infrared and heat set that night, you just activate it, and away you go. But it does not require a dedicated tower, which seems to be a big deal to everyone. Next, please. As you see here on the picture, it looks simpler. Obviously, it wasn't that simple to get to this location, but we have a bank of lights on each side, depending on the speed you need to run. You know, on the single width side, most people are asking us to run at least 35,000 an hour. On the double width side, we're up to the 55,000, 60,000 copies per hour range. So therefore, we need to take these modular units It's staying a little over 6 foot tall, and on a double width press, it'll jump to 13 feet tall to make sure we have the drying time required. And what it says here is we have a preconditioner on the web that kind of dries out the sheet, goes to a set of dryer lamps, comes over the chill roller, just like it does in heat set. We have a silicone applicator to make sure that the products don't stick together. We have our own electronic controls, and we can dial in and support it via VPN if there's a problem of any sort. And like I said, we just finished an installation in Utah, went in and it replaced the UV, and we're up and running in like 4 weeks with all 4 units. Next one, please. This is a general layout of the system. It's as you can see, the enclosure there is the web's going up through the middle, coming up, and then on top of it, it's going through the chill rollers, and then down to the silicone applicator, then into the folder. Very simple operation. Like I said, that unit stands about, for a single width press, about 6 foot tall, 6'6", and we have added on to single width presses already. And the one that went in Utah went on top of a quad stack tower, and that's where we run it in Denver. The owner has 2 quad stack towers we run on. Running, like I said, for over 3 years. Next, please. This shows a small picture of to the right is a quad stack tower. To the left is a gentleman that developed the quad stack tower. Originally came up with a new thing called the quick start tower that's just now getting off the ground, so to speak. And the infrared unit sitting above it, as you can see with the brushed aluminum, is the infrared unit, and the web's going up through the units and then coming out to the chillers and silicone applicators into the folder. Next, please. This is showing this typical single width product that's coming out of the reel stands. There's a small little pre-conditioner to the bottom there, as you can see it on the right hand side. We try and run the web through there just in case you're in a very humid area or a very wet area that we can dry out the web. Or if you're in a very cold area like Denver, where we print as a rule twice a year, the product comes in and sitting in a truck for months or weeks, I should say, and it's a little bit chilled, so we run it through the little preconditioner, and then before we take it up to the 4/4 and then into the actual infrared dryer to make sure there'll be no blistering with this product. Next, please. The double width is, like I said, it's double the size of the single width unit. It's around 13 feet tall. Goes on top of the 4/4s, and it has the same general path going through the chillers, back to the silicone applicator, and back into the folder. Next. So I left these slides in here for cost effectiveness for you to see. It's based on what the customers have told us. I don't want to get into a selling process here. I just want to inform you that there's other solutions. You know, heat set has always been a great and valid solution, but a lot of times people don't have the money for the $1 and $2 million price tag, and they don't have 10 feet to spare to run it through the dryer. For UV, it's a very affordable get-in product, but the ink costs are significantly more than traditional infrared or heat set inks. Next. There's some things you can look over when you get a chance. Up the top, it shows the High-Bright Gravure offset book enamel, and it tells the average. The infrared will run you a little bit more on electrical. It'll save you tons on ink, so it's kind of a wash when it comes to electrical consumption here. And you control the heating element itself, so on a UV unit, you need to turn the unit on and let it warm up for possibly 25-30 minutes. And on the infrared, you just turn it on, and it's ready to run almost immediately. Next here. So basically, we just put these in here for you so you could look at them at your leisure And I'm not going to speak to each and every slide. Let's go on to the next one, Tara. So we can just zip right through these, I'd say. But it just shows you maintenance costs and everything else. But we wanted to make sure that our friends in South America were aware that this is a solution on top of the gas-fired ovens, on top of the UV, and we hope to have one installed in a double width press, hopefully by the first quarter next year, and up and running at 60,000 an hour to put the critics at rest here. I thank you for your time, and we'll welcome the questions. Thank you.
Are you there?
Yes.
Let's bring us all together, all the presenters. Please, maybe we can connect all of them through the webcam, through their webcams. There we have Ron, and then we need the Bruce.
There we go.
Ron is there. Okay, we're ready. I think that basically there are many questions that were posed during the presentations. I will start with the digital printing. KBA showed a nice model of digital printing. So far, it's too expensive and runs are limited. Right, Margarita?
La pregunta es que están hablando de la impresión digital y
La tirada es relativamente baja.
So the question, which is the perspective for the digital printing in a short period of time, in a short future? Maybe Ron can answer first.
It was very difficult hearing your question.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
Okay, hold on. Okay. My question is, in the short-coming future, which are the perspectives for digital printing? So far, we know that it's expensive technology and is limited to the number of copies that can be printed in a matter of hours. What do you think that how this technology will evolve? Because there are too much expectations around it.
This question is for who?
We can start with Bruce. And then Ron, and then Doug.
Well, I know it was just a brief introduction to digital printing. There are a number of digital inkjet manufacturers now out there. KBA is taking a little bit of a different approach because we're introducing wider web machines. Some of the earlier machines and some of the existing machines are only 20 to 24. Even our first machine was only 30 inches. And for newspaper production, the tabloid and broadsheet page production, to be viable, needed to have a wider web. And now we have machines that go up to 50 inches and 66 inches, and we have some industrial level machines coming out at 80 inches. So digital is definitely making inroads into lower run offset volumes in practically every printing niche. Packaging, books, and even newspapers, there is a model for it. And you have to have the right model. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It's a too costly investment to justify. So we have all that data, and if you have the product base, we've talked to 4 or 5 newspapers about our product. They're considering it, but they have specific production models that where, you know, going digital, in addition to their offset press, or in some cases in spite of it, the model can work. It gets into cost per page, ink costs. We do a total cost of ownership analysis that involves, you know, cost per page, including the ink, head usage. There's a life to the heads, and that all has to factor into your cost per page. But in the lower run volumes, on our machines, the big cost savings is there is absolutely no waste. The first copy is good, and the last copy is good.
In our situation, we decided that we weren't going to get into the digital printing. We're going to stick to what we know best, which is offset printing, and offer the most economical solutions for that industry that we can, because we're finding that most customers are being very careful with the amount of money that they're willing to spend and can spend. So we've been focusing more on offering lower cost solutions that make sense for newspaper printers.
Esta tecnología es bastante costosa. Hay varios modelos de producción que se podrían aplicar. Ron acaba de decir que están tratando de buscar alternativas, o sea, soluciones de bajo costo. Y me tengo que disculpar porque es que la respuesta que dio el señor Bruce fue bastante larga. Así sí. Que si tienen alguna pregunta concreta sería mejor.
Yo quisiera agregar que lo que dice Bruce es que su compañía KBA se está centrando por ahora en otras soluciones y la prensa digital inkjet es muy fuerte en otros formatos como el packaging y para las tiradas de periódicos cortas, y que a corto plazo, por lo menos en lo que se estima para KBA, la compañía alemana de fabricantes de rotativas que representa Bruce Richardson, para este momento es todavía ellos están invirtiendo en otras áreas de la impresión más allá de eso. ¿Quieres traducir lo de Guadalupe? Guadalupe Parada pregunta.
Guadalupe hizo una pregunta hace unos momentos, la escribió en inglés, y the question for you presenters was, what is the greatest challenge facing newspapers in this trend for improving technologically in order to become more efficient and competitive? La traducción para los que están escuchando es que la pregunta fue que cuál es el mayor desafío al que se enfrentan los periódicos con esta nueva tendencia de ir mejorando tecnológicamente para convertirse en industrias más eficientes y más competitivas. We're seeking an answer from one of you now. The question has been translated.
Maybe Doug can start answering that.
Doug? And when you do, can you please stop a little bit so that I can translate your question, or your answer, rather?
Doug, can you hear?
Doug?
Doug, unmute your microphone. You've got your microphone muted, Doug.
Adelante.
Tara, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, so Doug, the question to you is, what is the greatest challenge currently facing newspapers in this trend of improving technologically to become more efficient and competitive? And then talk slowly so the translator can translate.
To me, is how do you keep attracting the audience with the right product and the right advertising to justify that the advertisers that are purchasing the ads are placing their money in the right medium, personally. I mean, you know, Bruce and Ron did a good job talking about lowering costs, picking and choose what you buy. Do you need a single width press versus a double width press? But at the end of the day, are you offering up the product that the advertisers want to attract the customers and then put customers into the stores?
Los otros dos presentadores hablaron de buscar maneras de bajar los costos, pero lo importante de todas maneras es que podemos justificar el costo en términos de lo que los anunciantes necesitan para poner sus anuncios y atraer a más clientes.
What about Ron and Bruce? Maybe they can elaborate some more about it.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is whether you can justify the investment. There's plenty of products out there.
Just a moment.
Okay.
El desafío más grande en realidad es la inversión que vayan a hacer justifica la rentabilidad. Hay muchos productos que están en el mercado. Go ahead. Thank you, Bruce.
I mean, you can the question really is a two-part. One is what can make it more efficient, and I think that challenge is, do you have the capability of purchasing equipment for the press, that can make the press run more efficiently with less waste. So that's a challenge. The second part of the question. Okay.
Thank you. Mire, esta es una interrogante que en realidad se puede responder tiene dos aspectos. En primer lugar es cómo hacer que el trabajo de la imprenta o la prensa sea más eficiente y si tienen la capacidad de mejorar el equipo, o sea, de comprar objetos o equipo que pueda mejorar la que ya tienen. Go ahead, Ron.
And the second part of the question is what can make it more competitive, and I think that's a lot of where all of us touched upon. But the challenge is there a market out there that justifies whether you can purchase more 4-color capacity and whether you want that 4-color capacity to be an enhanced product involving different stocks, glossier stock, heat set, UV, IR. Those are the challenges, and you have to look at your market and see who's there, see what your competitors would be if you enter these markets, and then also see, are there enough advertisers willing to spend money to cover your investment in this enhancement to your press to make it more competitive.
Bien, la segunda parte de la pregunta tiene que ver con la competitividad de lo que ustedes están ofreciendo. Eso es algo que todos los tres que hablamos anteriormente mencionamos en nuestra presentación. El desafío en realidad es hacer un estudio de mercado a ver si la inversión está justificada. Si quieren invertir y producir el producto de 4 colores o si quieren ofrecer un producto, como quien dice, entre comillas, mejorado. También depende del tipo de producto que quieren hacer, del tipo de papel que van a usar, si es el glossy, si es el más pesado, etcétera. Pero en realidad lo que tienen que hacer es hacer un estudio de los competidores que tienen ustedes en el mercado, porque hay que ver si los anunciantes están interesados en invertir en su producto de una manera competitiva.
Bien. No sé si Bruce, do you want to add something, Bruce, to this?
Bruce, do you want to add anything to that original question?
Well, I agree 100% with Ron. The first thought in my head is that different markets can justify different levels of investment. The IR investment to add quality quality glossy products, if your market can support that at a relatively low investment, that's a clear directional move. The hardest investment to justify these days is a brand new complete total new press with high-end automation. It's still possible. Albany did it in 4 years. Transcontinental did it in about 5 years, and it's because they have the markets to justify that level of investment. But there's a whole range of investments I think we all tried to present today that can start very, very low and provide opportunities to open doors for every print operation, and it goes on up from there. The other tendency in our market here, and I'm not so sure about South America or South, but it is happening in Europe, is the consolidation effect where newspapers ownerships are sometimes giving up printing their own newspaper. All they want to do is print the newspaper, so they contract out to a next door printing operation, to do their production. And that has been, in the last 5 to 7 years, a real source of revenue opportunities for, again, certain markets that have the equipment in place already or can buy the equipment to do the work. But it starts with a market analysis.
Todo este asunto, se lo voy a decir en resumen, tiene que empezar con un análisis del mercado. En primer lugar, la cuestión es si los distintos mercados justifican distintos tipos de inversión. La inversión más costosa siempre obviamente va a ser el equipo compradito nuevo de maquete, que ya tenga todo lo más moderno, lo más avanzado en términos de automatización.
También depende de si esto les va a abrir oportunidades en un mercado distinto. Ahora, hay una tendencia un poco distinta, no sé si esto ocurre en Centro o Suramérica, pero sí lo estamos viendo en Europa, que es que ciertas publicaciones hacen lo que llamamos una consolidación. Simplemente ya los editores se han alejado de imprimir su propio periódico y acuden varios se unen para no tener que incurrir en ese costo. Esto está ocurriendo desde hace unos 5 o 7 años y en cierta manera puede ser una oportunidad para aumentar ingresos si no tienen el costo de tener que imprimir su propio producto. Eso es en resumen lo que les puedo dar.
Bueno, yo quisiera intervenir para darle paso a una pregunta, Margarita de Laura, Susana Acosta Rivera. Ella tiene 2 preguntas ahí. Tradúcelas a los panelistas.
Okay, we have a couple of questions from one of our listeners, Ms. Laura Susana Acosta. She sends her greetings from Colombia. I would like to know what is the content strategy that newspapers should implement, and the follow-up question to that is, which is the content that the readers would like to see? What makes us different from digital publications? That is, what sets the difference between the printed product and digital publications?
If you allow me, apparently Laura is trying to get an advice from you guys who are coming from the technical world to see, according with your experience, what type of strategy and content they need to adopt in order to be more attractive in paper.
Well, I think the obvious answer is their product needs to look modern, because the challenge for newspapers is to attract the younger readers that have been moving away from newspapers. Older readers like newspapers, they're comfortable with them. It's been part of their life for a long time. But to attract younger readers, you need a modern looking product. And what I've seen, especially in South America, I think even more than in the US, is newspapers have gone to a tabloid format with a glossy cover, and they've also become more specialized. If you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and you walk up to a newspaper stand, you'll see many publications about foosball, and all those publications are trying to grab, the reader, and the publications that have the outstanding 4-color, that have the glossy stock, that have good writers. You know, it isn't just the look of the paper. You've got to have good writers and all those other things. You know, that's the kind of product that's attracting young viewers. Targeted, modern-looking, printed products.
Thank you, Ron. I need to interpret your statement. Obviamente, la respuesta más evidente es que el periódico tiene que tener una apariencia moderna, tiene que ser moderno en su aspecto. Uno de los desafíos para los periódicos hoy en día es cómo atraer a los lectores más jóvenes, porque para los lectores ya mayores están acostumbrados al periódico, ha sido parte de su vida, se sienten cómodos con un periódico. Ahora, para atraer a los jóvenes, ellos necesitan un look, como decimos ahora, más moderno. No sé, creo que esto todavía es más importante en Sudamérica que en Estados Unidos, porque ahora los periódicos se han transformado en un estilo más tabloide, con el periódico, el papel glossy, también el contenido se ha especializado un poco para atraer a cierto tipo de lector. Por ejemplo, si usted va en Sao Paulo, Brasil, a un kiosco de venta de periódicos, hay muchas publicaciones sobre el fútbol, y eso es para captar, para atraer al lector. Así que sería interesante poder publicar a 4 colores en el papel glossy, y sería interesante que ustedes mismos vean su producto a ver si es atractivo a la gente joven, a los que casi no leen periódico, sino que se mueven más a las plataformas digitales. Thank you.
What about the other two gentlemen? Tara, I don't know about Bruce and Doe.
I would echo exactly what Ron said. To capture the younger readership is a goal for newspapers. They should be doing that. Content, as Tara said in their notes, is still king. There are some newspapers that print only copyrighted other material, and you can get that story online, you can get it anywhere else, but the newspapers that look good on the newsstand or look good when they arrive to your door really make a difference. And that model on the digital that I showed, the 4-page wrap, which was done on a 60-pound stock, wrapped around the main sheet, which was done by normal offset on newsprint, they got so many direct replies from their subscriber base on that. And, you know, the age of the subscriber base ranges, but the point was that it really enhanced. In fact, some people said they didn't know it was their newspaper. And they were very, very pleasantly surprised and pleased by that. And it just creates interest and creates a buy. So.
También, y eso lo dijo Ron, que el contenido es muy importante, no es solamente la apariencia lo que es importante. El contenido es crítico y hay que tener buenos escritores, buenos periodistas que publiquen buenas notas. Ahora, por ejemplo, hemos tenido una cierta publicación que cambió su formato a algo más atractivo, en papel glossy, con 4 colores, y los suscriptores se emocionaron mucho porque dicen, no sabíamos que era nuestro mismo periódico, pero se veía más bonito, el mismo contenido, pero mucho más atractivo.
Is that a question for me?
Doug, we just wanted to know if you wanted to add something to what Ron and Bruce have already stated regarding content and so forth.
Okay. I agree with obviously Ron and Bruce both, but the other thing that newspapers like Berkshire Hathaway and Cox, they've done studies, and the people that subscribe to the paper say they want to see more local news, more investigative reporting, and less national news. They want to focus on the neighborhood they live in. They want to focus on all the local politicians, and investigative reporting has been the key ingredient, and it's driven their circulation numbers up better than they expected. And then as far as Berkshire Hathaway, they focus on the small newspapers and they focus on local news. But to go with Ron and Bruce's thoughts, you got to have a product that grabs their attention on top of the content.
Bien.
Absolutely.
Doug también nos dice que está de
Está de
acuerdo,
acuerdo,
obviamente, con
obviamente,
Ron
con
y con
Ron y
Bruce,
con Bruce,
pero quiere
pero quieren
añadir que han hecho estudios de, entre los
entre los
lectores,
lectores,
muchos lectores quieren más noticia local, quieren saber lo que está sucediendo en sus comunidades, también están interesados en el periodismo investigativo, quieren ver menos noticias nacionales y están más interesados en la política local de su propia comunidad, su municipio, su ciudad. Hemos dicho anteriormente, en primer lugar hay que captar la atención para entonces para que puedan acceder al contenido que ustedes están proponiendo.
Bien, Sara, if you don't mind, I think that we need to finish this session here because we already passed the hour. Maybe you can say a few words because saying goodbye.
Okay, Horatio, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Do you want me to do a wrap up? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Just kind of playing off the comments that everybody else made. I know there's a million more questions we could get to, but I think that as far as the print medium is concerned, we can all agree it's strong across markets. And knowing your readership and knowing your product is key, I think, in all markets as well. And I think some of the comments from our panelists, reiterated that. Obviously, there's some markets where, a magazine or a glossy product would work. There's some markets where it wouldn't. And so the question is, what technologies can you employ to do some trial and error with these things, and where is the good price point for that? So I would encourage all of you to, I don't know how we can connect all of you with these gentlemen's presentations and contact information, but if we can do that somehow, Horatio, if you can let us know if people want more information about specific technologies, how they can get it, that would be helpful. And then if you can keep us posted about any other upcoming events that, kind of play off of this. I know that you have a conference coming up in October, so if you want to mention that again as well, that would be a good way to wrap it up. So thank you.
Bien, en este momento queremos dar las gracias a todos. Sabemos que tienen por lo menos 1000 preguntas más que hacer y nos encantaría poder pasar más rato con ustedes. Pero regresemos al punto inicial, que es que sabemos que el medio impreso es en este momento, pues sigue siendo lo más importante. También lo que han dicho los presentadores, que deben hacer investigación de sus propios mercados. Hay mercados en que el tipo revista tendría mucho éxito, tal vez el glossy, pero tienen que ver qué tipo de tecnología les va a servir a ustedes en su propio mercado. Y también queremos ver cómo Horacio puede en este momento decirnos para que ustedes se comuniquen con estos señores que han hecho sus presentaciones para que tengan más acceso al contenido que ellos han presentado aquí hoy. Y recordemos que ahora en octubre la Sociedad Interamericana de Prensa va a celebrar su Asamblea General en Charleston, Carolina del Sur, y estamos muy dedicados a eso y creo que ahí va a haber varios seminarios también relacionados con el aspecto técnico del periodismo. Aquí les dejo a Horacio.
Gracias en particular. Particularly, I would like to thank the panelists, Bruce Richardson, Ron Earnhardt, and Doug Gibson. You were fantastic, and we are really in debt here at the Centro Digital with you guys, because you have had the courage to present these issues very clear manner, and we are very satisfied with this presentation. This will be recorded. This presentation has been already recorded. We will be posting our page as soon as we finish. Maybe by the end of this afternoon, you're gonna have access to all these presentations in our website, Margarita.
Sí, que esta misma tarde, estas presentaciones todas se grabaron esta mañana, así que hoy mismo vamos a poder publicarlas, o sea, van a tener acceso a ellas en la página web de la CIP. Así que todo eso va a estar ahí para que ustedes puedan volver a verlo y escucharlo.
Alfonso va a poner la dirección donde pueden encontrar está en el centro digital donde pueden encontrar esta presentación, que es www.cipiapa.org/centro digital. It's very easy. Thank you one more time, and we're gonna keep in touch with Tara and you guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
You too.